According to recorded history, in 1820, Russian naval admiral Bellinghausen was the first person to reach Antarctica, and humanity first learned about the size and geographical features of this previously missing part of the world map. After that, in the years 1901, 1909, and 1912, several explorers traveled there, hoping to learn more about this icy land covered year-round by towering walls of ice stretching kilometers high. No one could live there. But the question remains, is this the true history? Legends say that over 400 years ago, a legendary navigator named Dirk China, known as the first Dutch sailor to set foot in China and Japan, had already reached Antarctica. He was said to have known about a prehistoric underground civilization beneath Antarctica, as well as the entrance to the inner Earth and the final edge of the Earth itself. Much like the Moon and other celestial bodies in space, Antarctica has become increasingly mysterious in recent years, especially with the rise of new scientific discoveries. Findings such as strange wastewater, zones of gravitational anomalies, giant pyramids, unknown life forms beneath subglacial lakes, and even the discovery of super oil field all point to something extraordinary. All of these clues seem to point to a single underlying mystery. So what exactly is being hidden? Is someone controlling all of Antarctica? Today, let's continue our journey to explore Antarctica, the place where legends become reality. In 2017, scientists discovered a massive ice cave in Antarctica. A satellite image from Google Earth showed a long crack across the Antarctic ice shelf, which immediately drew attention. After calculations, the crack was found to cover 78,000 square kilometers, roughly the same area as the entire country of Ireland. The big question is, why is it so enormous? Scientists quickly took interest in the ice cave after the initial discovery. Soon after, more satellite images were transmitted, confirming that the cave was indeed real. Additionally, they discovered that this ice cave had already appeared on a map drawn in 1975, and it seemed even larger back then than it is now. However, upon checking all records and documents after 1975, they found that the ice cave had completely vanished until it reappeared in 2017. So, what exactly caused this? Could it truly be a hidden passage used by ancient beings to travel to and from the inner Earth beneath Antarctica? Scientists today explain that the cave may be related to the structure of reversed water flows beneath it. Above these flows lie several dormant underwater volcanoes. As the Earth warms and sea levels rise, these reverse currents carry large amounts of salt up from the Earth's interior, causing surface ice sheets to melt. However, in addition to these massive ice caves, in recent years there have been many other large and small ice formations appearing across the sea ice surrounding the Antarctic continent. Scientists refer to them as lakes between ice sheets. This is a Russian term that originates from research conducted by Russian scientists dating back to the 1930s. While studying Antarctic ice caves, they concluded that the appearance of large and small ice caves today is not strongly linked to global warming or salt flows. For example, after conducting surveys, they found that around these ice caves was a thick layer of ice dust, which consisted of a mixture of various impurities and sands, resembling industrial emissions released by human activity. These substances combined with the ice and settled on the white surface, turning it black, which caused it to absorb more sunlight and eventually led to the formation of ice caves. Russian scientists do not call them lakes between ice sheets, but instead refer to them as dust ice caves. The biggest question is, where did this ice dust come from? Could it really be industrial emissions from the northern hemisphere drifting all the way here? Clearly, the answer is no, because after analyzing the ice samples, scientists discovered that in addition to rare particles found in human-produced emissions like silica, there were also many microorganisms present. What they found resembled emissions from another civilization or industrial system altogether. These traces have been appearing densely along the coast of the Antarctic continent in recent years. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. In 2006, when the photo of this blood falls in Antarctica first appeared online, it startled everyone. At first, scientists claimed it was caused by red algae, but later said it was iron oxide. But how could there be so much iron oxide on the Antarctic ice shelf? Further investigation revealed that the waterfall is located in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, the only place in Antarctica that is not covered by ice and snow. It looks somewhat like Mars and is already full of mysteries. Why is it that the entire continent is covered by ice sheets 1 to 2 kilometers thick, yet this area has none? From this location flows the Taylor Glacier. The glacier feeds into a subglacial lake, and due to a drop in elevation between the glacier bed and sea level, equivalent to the height of a 5-story building, the phenomenon of the blood falls occasionally appears. The most credible explanation we found is that it supports the snowball Earth hypothesis, the idea that Earth's surface was mostly or entirely frozen at least once during 3 periods between 650 and 750 million years ago. In such an environment, how did life on Earth manage to survive? The blood falls we see today may be an ancient survival method. It could be a time capsule, preserving microorganisms that were frozen beneath Earth's ancient snowball surface and remain frozen beneath the falls to this day. These organisms do not need oxygen and instead survive by relying on sulfate and iron ions. Eventually, the iron ions processed by these microbes rise from beneath the ground to the ice surface, forming the visible blood falls. Clearly, this explanation was not very convincing in the past. But recently, a new study from Dr. Ken Livy of Johns Hopkins University shed more light on the phenomenon. He used an electron microscope to re-examine the composition of the blood falls and discovered an abundance of iron nanoparticles. These particles are extremely small and numerous, and once oxidized, they create the blood-like appearance of the falls. This explanation is much more convincing than the earlier iron oxide theory. However, it raises a new question. Where did these iron nanoparticles come from? Could they really have been produced by ancient microorganisms living beneath the glacier? Dr. Ken stated that the microbes beneath blood falls are extremely tiny, only 1/10 the size of a red blood cell. They can transform iron nanoparticles, something scientists had never considered before. Currently, only 3 places are known to have natural nanoparticles. First, nanosilica particles found in the pyramid's concrete. Second, fossilized microbial nanoparticles found in Martian meteorites. Third, naturally occurring nanographene recently discovered in lunar soil. A Martian meteorite containing fossil-like nanoorganisms was discovered in Antarctica by a Japanese science team in 2000. Another more famous meteorite also appears to contain nanoscale fossilized life. When this news was released, U.S. President Bill Clinton gave a speech in 1996, nearly confirming the existence of alien life. In short, natural nanoparticles may be linked to extraterrestrial matter. So could the microbes producing iron nanoparticles beneath the McMurdo Dry Valleys have cosmic origins? Or are they the waste product of a hidden underground civilization using alien technology in Antarctica? Next, let's talk about a very important underground discovery in Antarctica, the anomalous gravity zone. In 2006, when American scientists used gravity satellites to observe Antarctica, they found a massive anomalous gravity region located beneath an area Wilkes, about 1.6 kilometers underground. Initial investigation suggested this was a mass anomaly with a diameter of 300 kilometers. Just like how a tree grows a lump after injury, this seems to be a mass lump formed after the Earth was wounded. According to legends and old diagrams, beneath this region lies an anti-gravity chamber inhabited by beings conducting unknown experiments. Some even say this is the entrance to the underground world. Scientifically, researchers believe this giant mass may be a supervolcano crater. What does that mean? We're already familiar with the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. That asteroid had a diameter of 10 to 15 kilometers and left behind a 150-kilometer-wide crater in Mexico. Its impact was a devastating catastrophe for Earth. But the meteorite beneath the Antarctic ice sheet left behind an impact crater up to 500 kilometers wide. The meteorite itself is estimated to be 55 kilometers in diameter. So large it may be more accurately described as a small planet or asteroid. When it struck, it may have pierced through the Earth's crust, disrupting a massive supermantle plume deep inside. A mantle plume is an upwelling of abnormally hot rock from within the Earth's mantle. When such a plume becomes unstable, Earth can lose the protection of its magnetic field. First comes a cosmic ray bombardment, followed by apocalyptic earthquakes. Continents that were once stable begin to break apart piece by piece. The mantle plumes begin to restructure themselves. The Earth's crust, supported by those plumes, starts to crack and drift. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Alongside it came the even more violent dark rock event in Siberia. This time, the mantle plume erupted again with massive force. The eruption crater was nearly the size of the entire United States. After 60,000 years, the dust settled. 70% of land species and 96% of marine life vanished completely. In history, this is known as the Permi extinction event, the largest mass extinction ever recorded. The likely culprit? The massive underground crater beneath Antarctica. So reality turns out to be more incredible than legend. Behind the anomalous gravity zone isn't aliens or a hollow Earth, but perhaps the greatest planetary reset in Earth's history. Scientists have confirmed that the materials deep underground in that region are radioactive, potentially the key that accelerated biological evolution. So could it be that after the PT extinction event, a high-level intelligent life form emerged in Antarctica? They went on to build a civilization in its tropical rainforests and eventually left Earth. But when Antarctica turned into a frozen, isolated continent, they chose to retreat underground, continuing to develop using the resources deep within the Earth. We may simply be the seed planted on Earth 200,000 years ago to start over, known today as Homo sapiens. Tens of thousands of years later, our ancestors migrated, crossing the Bering Strait into the Americas, where they encountered a mysterious race called the Swaka, meaning those who came before. Homo sapiens continued southward, interbreeding with Swaka descendants in South America, and together built enormous stone cities like Puma Punku, the city in the sky. Massive stones were carved with stunning precision, walls assembled in seemingly random yet perfect ways. Perhaps these were the works of a hybrid race, beings who were ultimately forgiven and allowed to return underground. Later, South American people believed this land was once home to the gods. We are simply the ones who stumbled upon what was left behind. Consider the Antarctic Pyramid. Each side is 2 kilometers long, 200 times larger than the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Could this be the final legacy of an ancient super-civilization? After Antarctica froze over, they may have completed their dual mission, exploring space and the underworld. And once they discovered a better realm, perhaps they chose to abandon the Earth's surface forever. Now let's talk about Russia's Lake Vostok. Did you know there are over 400 large lakes completely isolated from the outside world beneath Antarctica's ice sheet? The largest among them is Lake Vostok, located beneath Russia's Vostok Station. It stretches 200 kilometers in length, 50 kilometers in width, and is 1,200 meters deep. The lake has its own tidal system and a fully independent ecosystem, completely cut off from Earth's surface. Russian scientists drilled through the thick ice to reach the lake's water, which had been isolated for 15 million years. In the samples, they discovered more than 3,500 DNA sequences. Of these, 94% came from bacteria, 6% from eukaryotic organisms. Remarkably, 2 of the sequences did not match any known life forms at the time. With modern technological advancements, Russian scientists have conducted deeper studies. One of the unidentified sequences may belong to an Antarctic fish species, slightly resembling cod. Today, this fish is still caught in the Southern Ocean and is often sold in seafood markets as Antarctic cod or Antarctic rock cod. There is another type of creature, one that eerily resembles beings described in old urban legends. Its code name is 46b. Why is President Putin so invested in mysterious sites like Lake Vostok? Because Russian scientists are believed to have discovered a species of super-intelligent octopus within the lake, and they aim to turn it into a super soldier. In 2016, Russian scientist Dr. Anton Padalka claimed that President Vladimir Putin was secretly developing a highly classified weapon, a giant squid capable of killing, hypnotizing, and paralyzing its prey from up to 150 feet away by releasing an extremely potent neurotoxin. Dr. Padalka stated he was part of a Russian scientific expedition that stumbled upon this terrifying creature while exploring a remote Arctic lake. They named it Organism 46b. He also revealed that all findings from Lake Vostok have been covered up by Russian officials for years. According to him, there is an ongoing effort to breed and weaponize this deadly squid. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting adventures. Dr. Padalka warned that turning this organism into a weapon could lead to catastrophic consequences. He claimed that on the very first day near the lake, the team encountered Organism 46b, and their radios were mysteriously disabled. They later realized in horror that it wasn't an accident, but a deliberate act by the creature. He described how Organism 46b could shapeshift and regenerate limbs. Severed tentacles grew back within 5 days. After a prolonged struggle, the surviving scientists managed to trap the creature in a tank and bring it to the surface. However, the Russian government confiscated the specimen and told international media they found nothing. Dr. Padalka then fled the country, fearing for his life, and began warning the world. He stressed that any attempt to breed this creature could be disastrous. Imagine if these deadly squid were bred and released into North American reservoirs. The consequences would be devastating. Though it sounds like science fiction, information about Organism 46b surfaced nearly a decade ago. Given today's geopolitical tensions, especially involving Russia, People are revisiting stories once dismissed as myths. And perhaps the once secret Soviet archives, combined with mysterious discoveries like drifting icebergs in the Arctic and Antarctic, challenge the very limits of human understanding. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. Finally, let's share another Antarctic legend that may have become real: the Nazi Antarctic base. Legend has it that in 1946, right after World War II ended, the United States launched a massive Antarctic scientific expedition. It involved 4,700 Marines, 33 aircraft, and 14 ships, including submarines and an aircraft carrier, all under the command of Rear Admiral Richard Byrd. Looking at the scale, it hardly resembled a scientific survey. It looked more like a full-blown military operation. But against whom? Clearly not aliens, and fighting prehistoric Antarctic people would require a lot more firepower. So according to urban legends, this military operation was actually an attempt to track down surviving Nazi forces hiding beneath Antarctica's ice. However, they didn't find any Nazis. Instead, Admiral Byrd's aircraft mysteriously went off the radar for 3 hours, sparking suspicions and deepening the mystery. Legend has it that during those mysterious 3 hours, Admiral Richard Byrd entered the inner Earth and encountered the prehistoric people of Antarctica. These beings warned him, "Tell the surface nations, don't play with fire, don't use nuclear weapons." This legend is incredibly vivid and widely discussed, but it also comes with specific causes and consequences, including Byrd's own origins and the mysterious death of the U.S. Secretary of Defense after reading his report, and so on. In short, according to the legend, the U.S. expedition was not a scientific mission, but a military operation. In fact, recently declassified documents suggest that the Nazis did indeed build a secret base in Antarctica. To be specific, because Germany was cut off internationally, the Nazis could not obtain oil, let alone crude oil. Even animal fat was in short supply. Thus, Hitler dispatched a unit to Antarctica to build a base for whale hunting, intending to use Antarctic whale oil as a fuel source for the Reich. This base was codenamed New Swabia. After World War II ended, the Allies discovered the New Swabia base in Antarctica and suspected it might be hiding secret Nazi weapons. However, investigations revealed only a few wooden huts, and not even a single whale had been caught. In fact, the so-called Antarctic whale oil had been purchased by the Germans from Norway, not extracted themselves. This is a classic example of myth blending into reality. As for the question of whether beings exist beneath the surface of Antarctica, a recent discovery has sparked even more curiosity. In May this year, Russia's national oil company announced the discovery of a massive oil reserve in Antarctica, estimated to contain up to 511 billion barrels. With global consumption currently at 90 million barrels per day, this super reserve alone could supply the world for 15 years. Notably, the oil is not scattered like shale or offshore oil, but stored in a large chamber that's easy to extract from and of exceptionally high quality. Even more mysteriously, the site shows signs that it may have already been tapped long before this discovery. However, all countries in the world are restricted by the Antarctic Treaty. Apart from scientific research, no nation is allowed to compete for resources in Antarctica. Therefore, no one on Earth has the right to exploit this oil reserve. From this perspective, some speculate, could the Antarctic Treaty actually be a pact signed by General Ruhr on behalf of humanity with the underground civilization of Antarctica? And is crude oil the chip used by the inner Earth people to control us? Through the legends turning into reality that we've discussed today, it seems the title, the continent of endless mystery, truly fits Antarctica. So what about you? Do you believe that Antarctica hides a highly developed prehistoric civilization? That there is an underground world still observing the surface? Perhaps even an empire far more advanced than our own? And what kind of giant force is pulling the strings behind this mysterious land? We welcome you to share your thoughts in the comment section below the video. That concludes today's sharing. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next episodes. Thank you and see you again.